mentioned what did he call it now? The marketplace activity. And I can't remember exactly how he had his organised, but for me it fitted in very well with using you know, in effect coloured bits of paper or coloured worksheets, and you know, if the kids had a certain coloured worksheet, then they would move to a certain coloured table, and you know, it was easy. It was all the people that have got a red sheet, you sit here, you know, and they were, and I would just make sure that I put the sheets in the right order before the lesson. So as I was handing them out to the kids, you know, a red sheet went next to a green sheet, which went next to a blue sheet, and so I got the kind of mixture that I was looking for. But the actual instructions to the kids were as easy as, if you've got a red sheet, go sit on the red table, you know, and that's great, you know. I mean, even with the Year 7s, you know, they can follow that with no trouble at all. You know, they've learnt their colours.
What about the workshops overall? What do you think have been the strengths of S-Team? What have you liked most?
Well, I think the discussions are really useful. I mean, certainly, as I said before, one of the problems I had was I kind of had an initial idea about, you know, something to for the students to actually sink their teeth into as far as argumentation was concerned, but I was stuck about how to progress it any further, and it was, you know, while we were talking about things, that it wasn't as though anyone came up and said, no, what you need to do is, but it's just as things sort of developed, as things you know, unrolled in the, you know, during the conversation, I started to think, you know, there is something there. There's, you know, that's a direction that I need to start thinking about. And by the time I left at the end of the second session, you know, I had, you know, interesting ideas to go away with, and those were the things that really crystallised into providing the rest of the whole project. It was as though I had, you know, an interesting demonstration, and nowhere, it was leading nowhere, you know. At the end of it, it was like, so argue about it, you know, and that's, you know, that's not giving the support that I really wanted to supply. So it was the, you know, the discussions, and I think the fact that they were open discussions as well. And I think that's almost like the project itself. It's very difficult to get a discussion that's open and structured at the same time. There's sort of things that are contradictory, really. And I think the S-Team sort of way of dealing with things somehow manages to get across those problems. I guess it's because people are all trying to solve the same sort of problem, but they're coming from different directions, and so you get this mixing of ideas, which is, you know, really good.
So, and what about the converse of that? What do you think have been the weaknesses of S-Team? What have you not liked?
Well, there's not an awful lot that I've disliked, that's for sure. I mean, I think even, you know, whatever anyone brings is always, you know, you can see, even if it hasn't worked as well as they've intended it to, you can see where they've been trying to go, and you can think about, I mean, you know, if someone gives you you know, a task to do, such as, you know, teach argumentation, the way you interpret that, I mean, it's quite a simple sentence, but it's, you know, there's a lot of areas in interpretation. So, you know, even when, you know, well, the session that I keep talking about, this second session, you know, I was going with something that hadn't, you know, really worked. It hadn't really gelled, and you know, and I think other people were in a similar sort of position at that stage. But even then, you know, there was a lot of sort of comparisons that you could make, and you could sort of, you know, gain something from that. So, you know, to be honest, my you know, my feelings are, you know, sort of very positive about the whole experience. I think the way that it wouldn't have worked is if you were trying to cram that into, you know, a very short space of time. So, you know, the kind of things that would happen in school would be, you've got an hour, you've got an hour, go away, be creative and then come back. And I don't think that would have worked. So, no, you know, I'm very positive about the whole experience.
So if we look towards the future, you know, in terms of future workshops, how could we improve them? I mean, do you have any comments about, you know, both in terms of the process and in terms of the content of workshops for the future?
I don't know if it would be an improvement. I mean, what would be different and add a different sort of dimension would be if there was sort of interaction amongst you know, the different groups. I mean, as it was, we were attacking a shared problem, but we weren't attacking it in a shared way. It was still the individual schools were working on their own.
Yes.
I mean, I suppose another a kind of halfway house between that and what we actually did would be things like having a forum, you know, an internet forum to, you know, to discuss things.
Right.
You know, that would be that would be quite interesting. I mean, I wonder, because you know, this period where I was stuck, I mean, was quite a long period. You know, for me, because if it was longer than a week, I get very wound up about it. But I can't remember how long it went on for. But you know, I just kept on thinking, you know, can I do this? Can I do that? And I was really just getting nowhere. I wonder, you know, if we were using a forum, for example, you know, just posting a comment up saying, you know, I'm doing this. You know, has anyone else got any ideas here? You know, may have sort of moved me on a bit earlier, or moved me in a different direction, or maybe, you know, where I am now may have been moved on.
Yeah.
You know, I suppose with the whole thing pretty much depending on these set meetings, you know, you've got, you know, a meeting and then quite a long period of time before there's any interaction with anyone else. So, you know, maybe something like forums might be you know, another thing to have a look at.
Right.
But I think that, you know, the key thing is this sort of exchange of ideas and the discussions, and it's usually really good. Well, it's always been a really good atmosphere as well. You know, that you feel that you know, people are going to react positively, you know, to what you're doing, because it is difficult. I mean, these are you know, I think the sort of question in this case definitely is a hard question, and it's you know, it's not one of those that you can really find in a textbook somewhere. You know, how did they teach this in '95? Let me have a look at an old textbook, and that's it. You know, this was you know, I feel it was, you know, really open, and you know, so it was good to feel that when I was going to the meetings, it would be into a supportive atmosphere, and you know, it was yeah, good.